Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope everybody's been having a great week. This week I want to talk about fear because we all deal with it, right? So we have the fear of failing, the fear of being judged, the fear of making the wrong decision, the fear of starting something new, and the fear of ending something when we know it's no longer serving us, And I know fear too well. I've let it keep me small. I've let it keep me quiet. I've let it keep me from rooms that I know I was meant to be in. I've let it keep me from stepping into things that I knew I was called to do. And maybe that's where you are right now as well. So let's talk about it, because fear is not going to go away. You don't feel ready and then act. You act while you're scared. And that's how you take your power back. So I remember that when I first started this podcast, I was so scared. I knew when I was a teenager that I wanted a podcast. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. In 2015 when Spotify came out. And I heard my very first finance podcast ever. And I was like, that is so cool. You can take what you're learning yourself and teach it in a podcast. And I'm like, it's like radio, but it's like a specific person that you can listen to continuously. And I just fell in love with that idea. But I didn't start my podcast till 2023. And even before that, the name, the topics, everything came to me in 2022. And it took me almost 2 years to launch the podcast. Why? Because I kept hearing these things. Who's going to listen to me? What if I say the wrong thing? What if people judge me? I almost let those thoughts win. I almost said there's a lot of podcasts now. Who's going to listen to me? There's a lot of podcasts out there that are already successful, already have millions of followers, are already giving, advice how I would like to give it. Why would they listen to me? And here's the thing. Not that you're not going to share topics and talk about the same things, but you are your own person. You have your own voice, you have your own style, and people need to hear what you say. That's the thing that helped me hit record anyway. I said, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I have to do it. I have to move anyway. I couldn't forget that courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about taking action, right? So, if fear has been holding you back, here are 3 things you can start doing today, right now, to shift your mindset from fear into action. All right? So number 1 is find the smallest possible step. When the fear feels huge, don't focus on the big picture because that'll paralyze you. Instead, ask yourself, what is the tiniest step I can take today? Not the whole thing, just the next thing. So maybe send an email, make a call, sign up for the class, speak up in the meeting. Do the smallest thing possible to keep moving forward. Because action creates momentum, and momentum makes fear quieter. I remember that when I first started thinking about the podcast, I'm like, okay, cool. I got to get a name, the colors, the logo. Who's going to do all that? What recording stuff should I buy? What even is, podcast things? Where am I going to film it? How am I going to film it? Do I need to buy very expensive equipment? All of these things started to come up. And then I said, you know what? Back up. What's the name of the podcast? Kingdom Culture. Check. Cool. What are the topics that I'm going to talk about? Well, I can't talk about anything else but everything that I've learned and then what I'm learning. Check. And one step at a time. I said, okay, cool. That's what it is. We're going to do it. And I did it. And then we launched in September 27th. We're going to go into 2 years now. So it's been amazing to see myself still carry this podcast through. Number 2, interrupt the what ifs. So fear lives in our thoughts, right? We feed it when we let our brain spiral into what if What ifs? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work? Here's what I want you to do to flip the script, and what I've done, actually. So instead of saying, what if it doesn't work? Ask yourself, what if this is what changes everything? Instead of saying, what if I fail? Ask, what if it works out? What if this is exactly what I need to have the life that I desire? What if this is what I need to feel fulfilled and happy? Right? Change the script in your mind. Speak life into your decisions. Your words shape your courage. I cannot speak on this enough. Speak life. Speak life into everything that you're doing, because that is what's going to make you take action. I don't know about you, but when I tell myself, like, this is amazing, even if one person hears my podcast, like they have learned something new, they're growing, they want to become somebody better. Instead of saying like, oh man, I only had one viewer this week. That sucks. How am I going to reach more people? Like, change the script in your mind, because when you change the script in your mind, your actions and the way that you feel change with it. Speak life. Speak courage over and over and over and over again until you realize that fear is no longer taking a hold of you, right? Number 3, and this is my favorite thing in the world that I learned, is a trick, and I've been using it forever. It's called the action window. When you feel fear creeping in, give yourself a 10-second countdown to act. Literally say to yourself, I have 10 seconds to make a decision. And then move. Hit send, say yes, walk in the room, sign up. Because the longer you wait, the louder your fear gets. But when you act fast, you don't give fear time to grow roots. You don't get to, sit and like start overthinking everything and start over analyzing. 10 seconds, move. Because quick action is what creates momentum. Even if it doesn't come out like how you want it to, just move. Because the moment that you start taking action is when the fear becomes smaller. And after you do something, you realize that it's not as scary as I thought it would be. For example, me. I love public speaking. I've been privileged enough to be in front of crowds and speak. But when I first started it, I was like, nope. What if they don't understand what I'm saying because of my accent? What if I trip going up on the stage because of my leg? What if nobody cares about what I have to say? And I said, you know what? We're here anyway. You already said yes. You might as well just go up there and do it. The fear doesn't go away. But once you get up there, once I got up there and I started speaking, everything just started flowing and it was amazing. And I felt so good. Another thing with me would be when I started preaching. Because I'm like, me? Give a sermon? Are you sure? Give a word? Me? But God is gracious, right? And He gives us wisdom to carry out things. And I remember my very first one. I brought pennies with me. And we were talking how we sometimes want to, keep things to us instead of giving back. So I said, oh my gosh, they're not going to listen to me. And even though, they're my congregation and I see them every week or would see them every week, it was still scary to go up there and bring the word of the Lord. Sometimes I didn't feel qualified. I was shaking up until the moment where I got prayer and was able to deliver what the Lord had put in my heart. And afterwards, I could just give thanks to God because it was another stepping stone into growth for His ministry that He has for my life, right? So act fast. Don't give fear time to creep in and allow yourself to grow through it, because fear isn't going anywhere. The goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to learn how to move with it. And I always want you to remember this. God didn't give you a spirit of fear. He gave you a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. So every time fear tells you you can't, you need to tell yourself, yes, I can, and I was made for this. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If this episode spoke to you, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And if fear has been keeping you stuck, this is your sign to take a step forward. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. So until next time, remember this. Action is the antidote to fear. Remember that I love you, but that the Lord loves you more. Always, always, always. We'll see you guys next week.